Welcome back to the Silver Screen Fiends podcast. I'm your host, Sam.
I'm Blake.
And we have a really shitty holiday spectacular episode for you.
Spectacular.
That's right. A spectacularly garbage. We're leaving the show. You know what? It's that time of year filled with magic, wonder,
and cheer.
Intoxication.
I thought we were doing a rhyming thing.
All right, I'll edit something in later. But we're doing our holiday episode. And instead of talking about Home Alone for the 16th time, we figured we'd talk about other things. But before we get into that, some things I wanted to touch on. First of all, holy shit, Spider-Man.
All I can think about. My brain's just thinking about Spider-Man all the time.
I was hype going into it, but I left just absolutely stunned.
Yeah,
it was incredible.
I was super hyped going into it. Like, I've been anticipating it for a long time, and I was just like, I was still blown away. Even like reading all the theories and like everybody's predictions beforehand, I still was just in awe.
Yeah, and just to add a disclaimer here, we will actually not be discussing spoilers because I believe everyone should watch this movie.
Yeah.
But I will say the way they handled everything, the way they brought back some people and the multiverse and Doctor Strange and everything about it was just like it's we've gotten to a point where with Spider-Man where like I feel like no matter what happens, I'm always in it for like that emotional gut punch because this entire movie was just one emotional gut punch after another.
Yeah.
And it was like, whether that mean happiness, sadness, excitement, confusion, I was just always glued to the screen. I think they did an amazing job with it. Yeah.
The least spoiler, the most spoilery thing I can say without spoiling it is just that everything that you want out of this movie, it has. I don't think anybody's going to be disappointed.
Yeah. And it's actually funny because so I just saw it yesterday and the theater I went to
2 days ago.
Yeah. The theater I went to, it didn't really seem like they were Spider-Man fans because when certain things were happening in the movie, I didn't hear clapping or anything like, and there's like a couple big things that happen in the movie.
I had the opposite experience where in my theater, people were going crazy for everything.
Just every little thing. Yeah.
And it was pretty awesome.
Yeah. I don't know what was wrong with my theater.
It was honestly like, I say all the time how much I love watching movies at home, but like that was truly a great theater experience. And I'm happy I saw it in a theater.
Yeah, and aside from all the praises I could sing about it, one thing I can truly say is that with this trilogy of movies, I really just love the aesthetic and the art direction of it. I mean, the original trilogy is great. I mean, minus the third one, and even the Amazing Spider-Man movies have redeeming qualities. But with this trilogy, it's like even though Tom Holland is a touch too awkward for me, they still kind of move it along in like a nice modern way. So I do respect what they did with it. And I'm wondering like what they're going to do with the future of it. And at the end of this movie, they revealed another movie coming out, which I won't talk about, but I'm sure they're going to explain what happens after that. Yeah. So I'm curious to see the direction they're going to take.
Well, the next Marvel property we have coming out is Doctor Strange. So and I'm sure this will tie directly into it because Doctor Strange is a main character in Spider-Man. So that'll be fun. And that is directed by Sam Raimi, which is exciting.
That is exciting. Yeah.
It's cool that he's coming back to Marvel. It would have been cool if he directed this, but
my God,
I have no complaints about the directing of this movie.
No, not at all. Yeah. I think just from start to finish, it had everything I wanted in a Spider-Man movie. Like it reminded me of like just watching a comic on screen. It was so cool.
Yeah. It's hard to say because of like recency bias if it is truly the best Marvel movie, but it's one of my favorites in a very long time. A lot of people have been saying it's the best Marvel movie, and I don't know if it's just because it's the newest one, but it definitely is going to be a top 5 for me.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Spider-Man, great. Go fucking watch it.
Good.
Movies suck. Next thing I wanted to touch on is we're actually, as of today, the 20th, we have the 25th anniversary of the first Scream movie.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. 25 fucking years. That's insane.
And the new, which also, like, I when I was thinking about it today, why did they release that movie right before Christmas? What a weird time for Scream to come out.
Maybe like misdirection with
it's just like weird. Like if I had to like guess the date that Scream came out, it would not have been in December.
I don't know.
Yeah, really weird. And we get the new one next month.
I know, that's so soon.
Yeah, I'm very excited
God.
for it.
Yeah, so Scream, we love you. Happy anniversary, baby. Let's see. I also got some nice Kino in the mail. I got the Shaw Brothers Volume 1 Blu-ray box set.
I saw the picture you posted.
Absolutely gorgeous. I literally don't even want to open it. Like, I'm just staring. I've literally just been staring at it. Yeah. Which, like, in its own right, is impressive that they were able to acquire the rights, because Celestial Pictures holds the right to the Shaw Brothers movie franchise as far as distribution. And most of the movies are on Amazon Prime, and they did a pretty good job at restoring them and capturing the fun and charm of them. But I just, for years, I was like, why the hell don't they have a Blu-ray set? Why won't Celestial do this? And then Arrow did it, and basically creaming AMA. I hope they continue doing it, because it's awesome to see. It has a niche audience. You know, a lot of people enjoy those movies, but it's not as widespread as people would think. So I'm glad that they're giving mainstay recognition to a studio like Shaw, and I hope to see a lot more with them, and like anything else that needs to be released. Not even Hong Kong cinema, just in general. Yeah, I just need physical everything.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I, for the first time in a while, bought a physical release recently, because Shout Factory did an extended cut of Krampus. It's called the Naughty Cut.
Yeah.
So I have that. I'm going to probably watch it sometime this week, because I haven't watched it yet. But as soon as I saw they were doing like an extended cut, I was like, all right, I'm buying this.
Yeah, I did see that. I am curious, because I am gonna watch Krampus on Christmas, but I did see that they had that cut, so I'd be interested to see.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what they could have added. I hope that it's got some good special features. It looks like it did, because I know that there was like a couple of different alternate endings that they had ideas for. So maybe they'll have like storyboards or something, or like a commentary. I love watching movies with commentary on, so that's the main reason I like to buy Blu-rays.
Sure.
But yeah, I will report back once I watch it on how much they actually added.
Hell yeah.
And how naughty it is.
Next thing I wanted to talk about is we finally got a trailer for The Northman.
Oh yeah.
The new Robert Eggers movie. When this first got announced, I was like, Robert Eggers needs more. Give me more. and then they dropped that, and I'm like, okay, like, I love Lighthouse, which is dope. Like, let me see what you're working with. And we finally get a trailer for what he's been working on.
Yeah, I'm fine with waiting 4 to 5 years in between his movies if they're all as good as the 2 that he's done so far are, which this one looks fucking crazy. So I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, because it's like because we've seen the Viking story told a few times, but this is like a Viking revenge story, and I think that Robert Eggers has a certain way with the way he frames things. So it's going to be really interesting to see like how fucking crazy it gets.
Yeah, it looks interesting too, because both of his other movies, The Witch and The Lighthouse, are very like subtle, small cast, like one location movies. This looks very epic, which we have not seen him do yet. And I'm very excited to see how he brings his like style to that, because so far it's only been these very like small movies, small scale. And this one looks like it's going to be like almost like a fantasy, like epic.
Yeah. And with this movie, we'll see the continuation of the Bjork cinematic universe. Which will be interesting. Yeah, I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, trailer looks awesome.
Yeah, and other than that, what have you recently watched?
I watched, let's see, let's pull up the letterbox. I watched Gremlins because I had to for
Gotta.
Christmas.
No.
Oh, I saw last night in Soho. I don't think we recorded since I watched that.
Oh,
That was
what'd you
really
think?
good.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I thought it was great. I didn't really, I tried to avoid as much as I could going into it. I didn't want to know much about it.
Right.
And I thought it was like a horror movie, but it's really more like a psychological thriller, if you could call it that. Like there's supernatural elements to it, but it's much more of like a mystery.
Mhm.
And so I enjoyed that a lot. I saw people complaining about it being confusing, and I don't really understand that because I didn't think it was confusing at all. Like it's a pretty straightforward like mystery movie. I don't know what people were like not getting. So that the mixed reviews were kind of weird to me. I don't really know what the criticisms were, but I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I've yet to see it. And is it available for streaming yet? Or
You can like rent it for $20.
Oh, okay.
I did it through Amazon just because I really wanted to see it. Also, I thought it was really funny. As soon as I like started watching it, I was like, "Oh, they mean Soho in London, not in New York." I was like, "Oh, this movie takes place in New York, probably." Like, oh, yeah, there's Soho in London.
And then you realized, fuck you, Edgar, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I still have to see it. That's been on my
that
list
was good.
for a while.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Did you ever end up seeing House of Gucci? Did we talk about
Nope, not yet.
that? I still haven't seen it either.
I want to. I just haven't had time really.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know when the hell that's coming to streaming.
Yeah,
I assume
don't
it
know.
will be at some point.
I always get the screeners every year because my brother is in Screen Actors Guild. So like the SAG Awards, I get the screeners, and I'm kind of hoping that I'll get it like that, so I don't
Mhm.
have to pay for it.
Yeah, I don't blame it. It's like I really, really want to see it, but I'm like, I could maybe hold off on
Yeah,
a couple bucks.
yeah.
I don't
For
know.
me, it's the main thing is just because like I have a young puppy and I can't leave him home alone right now. So I'm not. If I go to the theater, I have to like get my parents to watch the dog, and it's like I'm not doing it for House of Gucci.
I'm bringing the dogs.
I'll
to
do
House
it for
of Gucci.
Spider-Man, but I'm not gonna make my parents watch the dog so I can see House of Gucci.
I feel you, dude. And speaking of dog, I about a week ago I watched The Power of the Dog,
Oh,
which
nice.
is on
How was
which is
that?
on Netflix. It was pretty fucking cool. I haven't seen any. I don't think I've seen anything by the director Jane Campion, but I really didn't know what the hell to expect because I saw it was Benedict Cumberbatch and Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons, and it was kind of a Western tale, and I wasn't really sure what it was going to focus on. I figured it was going to be more like traditional Western life mixed in with melodrama, but it was just 90% melodrama instead. And it was cool. We have two brothers, Phil and George, played by Plemons and played by Cumberbatch and Plemons respectively. And it's interesting because it's like it's a story that you think is very linear, and then there's like secret shit going on with Phil, and George finds Kirsten Dunst and she turns into like an alcoholic nutcase. And so it's I wouldn't say go rush and watch it right now, but I would say it was pretty impressive for a movie that threw me for a loop. You know, when a movie can completely misdirect me and make me think like, oh, it's not a conventional rancher story, then I'm like, okay, that's pretty impressive, because it's like you see these dime a dozen. So
Yeah, I've seen a lot of talk about that movie, but I haven't watched it yet.
yeah, it's pretty good. I'd say at some point if you get a chance. And then I ran through pretty much like all the newer Spider-Man movies. I'd actually never seen Far From Home, and funny enough, I ended up watching it twice yesterday because I watched it once in the morning to prepare myself for the movie. And then my lady friend came over and was like, oh yeah, I've never actually seen this. So then we watched it together, and I would say it was pretty solid.
Yeah. I
would
like
say,
that one.
yeah, I would say based on the foundation that in all of superhero dumb, one of my favorite villains has always been Mysterio. Because I just always love the idea that he's not necessarily endowed with any magical power. He's just like a super crazy illusionist and special effects artist, and he's able to create these illusions and situations that really fuck with your psyche, and that's all he does. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, and those scenes in the movie that are like the hallucinations are awesome. They're really,
oh my
like,
god, yeah,
cool,
like
surreal moments in like a superhero movie, which is very unexpected.
I was just saying yesterday that the scene, and obviously if you haven't seen the movie by now, then tune out. But
It's been out for a while.
It's been out for a minute. but the scene towards the end when they're on the bridge and he's like, "Oh, you want these glasses? Come and get them." And then he switches it to his nightmare mode. That is the coolest scene I've seen in a movie in the past 5 years.
Yeah, it's honestly kind of like what you would want to see out of like a Scarecrow in a Batman movie. It reminded me of the Arkham games a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like the Scarecrow missions where you're going through like the hallucinations.
Yeah, I felt like I felt like they partially like inspired those scenes because they felt a lot like them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was solid, and I rewatched Homecoming because it had been a long time. Yeah, and that was pretty good.
Far From Home, you have to watch before the new one because the new one begins like right after Far From Home ends.
Right after. And I was thinking to myself, like, oh, I wonder if you have to really pay attention to Far From Home. And it's like, yeah, you do. You do. You do. But yeah, then I watched some random shit like The Long Kiss Goodnight, which is Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson. And it's not like a Christmas movie, but it falls under that subgenre of like it takes place around Christmas. Mm-hmm. Therefore, I guess it is. But it's like an action assassin thriller, and it was actually really good. I really enjoyed it. And then of course I rewatched Batman Returns because I have it on. I bought it on 4K a long time ago, and I was like, well, how good could it look? And I finally opened it up. It was gorgeous. It was like one of the best 4K transfers I've ever seen.
Yeah. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Yeah, I like the Burton Batman movies. I think they're good. I think he did a good job. And I think that the way he uses the characters and the set pieces, it almost makes it seem like it's a play. And I really enjoyed seeing every pore of sweat in Danny DeVito's face.
And there's 4K. Many.
There's many. So yeah, and that is a Christmas movie. But I guess we'll get into the actual holiday theme now. So I kind of wanted to start with one I had never seen before. I probably won't say much about it, but it's The Night Before, which is a movie I've never seen before.
Yeah, I've never seen it either.
Yeah, and
I know of it, but
yeah, and it's got Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Seth Rogen, and Anthony Mackie. And Levitt looks so young in this, but it was only like I think 6 years ago. And
he doesn't really age.
He do not be aging. And it's so basically these three friends have this annual tradition where on Christmas Eve they just do a bunch of crazy shit. Like they'll just go to bars and they'll fuck around or whatever. And now that they're getting older and Seth Rogen's character is having a baby. I believe his name is Isaac in the movie. And Anthony Mackie's become like a pro NFL star. And Levitt's character is just left doing nothing. He's alone. He's heartbroken. He doesn't really have a job. He's trying to make music. He's an aspiring artist. And so they get tickets. Well, he steals tickets for this party called the Nutcracker Ball. And then the whole night is like them trying to get to this party, and Seth Rogen ends up just taking a bunch of drugs, and that's hysterical as always. It's the only thing I'll say is there's a scene where he's Jewish, right? And he's in a church for midnight mass, and he's on shrooms and cocaine and Molly, and ends up getting up saying we didn't kill Jesus, and pukes in the aisle. And that was pretty much the best scene I'd seen in the movie in the past year. But I thought it was fun because like I looked at that cast and I was like, all right, this is probably gonna be fucking stupid, but it was fun. I would say like I was pretty confident I had seen most of Rogen's movies, but that one was I don't even know who directed this, but it was like a nice way to waste time, and it was like actually a Christmas movie as opposed to like, hey, let's just throw the theme in there. Mm-hmm. But it was fun. It was it was a nice raunchy romp. of the season.
Which also, speaking of Seth Rogen, have you seen all the stuff about that new Christmas show or whatever that he did that like is like one of the lowest rated shows on IMDb or something?
No, wait.
Yeah, it's like some animated show.
Really?
That like he put out recently. It's called Santa Inc.
The first article I see is Sarah Silverman and Seth Rogen's awful Christmas show.
It has a 1.3 out of 10 on IMDb. At one point, it was the lowest rated thing on IMDb.
Santa Inc. What in the fuck?
I just figured it was worth mentioning since it is also Christmas. I have not watched it, but I'm intrigued.
Oh, you know what's interesting? It looks like they're low-key trying to replicate the Rankin Bass style.
Mm.
And I think that must have been their appeal, like their pitch for it.
Whatever it is, apparently people hated it.
Oh, okay. So I just came across a pretty interesting headline. Seth Rogen blames white supremacists for Santa Inc. bad reviews.
Yeah, that's how you know it's bad.
I'm like, all right.
If you gotta go to the white supremacist angle, you know that the show's bad.
Yeah. I'm like, look,
I just can't imagine what could be so horrible about it. It's got a decent cast.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it, so I can't say, but I almost want to now. I need to see how bad it actually is.
Oh my God. Also, I just saw on Letterboxd there is a review for The Night Before that says, how is Michael Shannon in every single movie? Which he is in this movie. He plays a pot dealer from their childhoods, like being in school, and he actually ends up being like the ghost of Christmas in this movie. And there's even like a really cheesy scene towards the end where he's standing outside and they take his car they think Seth Rogen's character Isaac is his wife's having the baby, so they take his car and then he flies in the air with wings. And I'm like, we didn't need to see that, but so true. Like Michael Shannon, it's like, yeah, he do be in every movie.
He's awesome though. I love Michael Shannon.
Oh, me too. Yeah. So I would say this was a fun little watch because I'd never seen it before. And I mean, I wouldn't make it like a new tradition, but I thought it was fine. It's nice to watch during the holidays. Sometimes you need to laugh. There's a lot of shit in this world, dude.
Is it streaming on anything?
I don't know if it is streaming. My friend just had the Blu-ray of it.
Oh, okay.
But it's probably one of those like, oh, you got to go on Sling or Fubo.
Yeah, one of those made-up sounding streaming.
Yeah, one that was just
Dinky
like
TV
launched a year ago with no budget.
Yep.
And they'll get like the rights to one B-list actor, and that's the whole acclaim. Like I think is it Tubi that
Tubi
has like
actually has decent stuff.
No, they do, but I was wondering, is it Tubi that has the rights to all the Steven Seagal movies?
Maybe, I don't know.
Because there's a service that if you just type in Steven Seagal, there's like over 100.
That's amazing.
They have, and I'm like,
Tubi does have the film that I sent you, Baby Oopsie, that I definitely have to watch.
Oh yeah, we will be doing a
live stream Baby Oopsie.
We will be doing a Baby Oopsie centric episode. What the fuck is that even about?
It's a horror movie. I don't know what it is, but I was just like mindlessly scrolling through what they had, and I was like, Baby Oopsie.
Oh, I wonder if this is like a reboot or something.
The Baby Oopsie universe.
Well, I feel like it looks like an old horror premise, but maybe it is a new concept.
There is a 10 out of 10 review for it on IMDb. There's also a 5 out of 10 review for it, but there are multiple 10 out of 10s.
Please tell me a review just says this movie certainly isn't an oopsie.
It just says oopsie.
Actually, cinema.
So definitely gonna have to watch that.
Amazing.
There's two of them. There's two films.
My God.
There's another one on IMDb called Baby Oopsie Chapter 2.
Dude, there is a cinematic universe for Baby Oopsie.
Wow.
Step aside, boss baby. It's Oopsie's turn.
Wow. It is a full moon movie, which makes a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they do be dealing with the puppetry shit.
Yeah. Full Moon are the ones who do Puppet Master and like all of those movies that are all ridiculous. So maybe it's not bad.
I could see it being okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
Movies
back to
suck.
actual movies.
I guess
Should we talk about The Grinch?
we could definitely discuss The Grinch.
'Cause this was my pick for our Christmas movies because I absolutely love it. And I watched it recently, and I always liked it like when I was a kid and stuff. And then I rewatched it this year and realized that it actually is genuinely a really good movie. And
yeah.
I love it. It's great. Like, it's funny. The special effects are insane. And I think they won an Oscar for the special effects, if I'm not mistaken. But
I actually heard, and this makes sense, that no movie since The Wizard of Oz had this amount of makeup and effects going into it. And
they did win for best makeup, by the way.
And it's true. I mean, you look at the little universe Ron Howard created, and it was pretty much exactly what you would want from like a realized Whoville adaptation. I think like the whole idea that they gave an actual backstory to the Grinch in this one is cool too, because the 1960s animated one is my favorite, but they don't really explain like why he's such a fuck. They're just like, okay, he's a Grinch, and
they still don't really explain what the Grinch is. He's just a green guy.
Yeah. So, but I like that the first half of the movie is like they explain that he was low key in love with Martha May.
I just think it's funny. It's just like, what the hell is he?
Yeah, like what? Yeah, because they try. Because I remember there's a scene where Cindy is talking to her dad Lou, and she's like, "Well, what is the Grinch?" And he's like, "Exactly, he's a what? Like no one knows what he is." But like I thought it was really sweet that Ron Howard kind of went that route of giving him a backstory. Like he actually at one point was psyched for Christmas, and he had his heart broken, and now he ain't got a heart. But
another thing I really love about it too is the sets in this movie. Like, you can tell that they put a lot of work into making like Whoville feel real, and it really does. Like, I see a big difference in this and movies nowadays that will just CG most of the like backgrounds and sets and stuff, and this one like feels so real, and it makes the movie so much better. Like the not lack of, because there's little bits of like CGI here and there, but the fact that they didn't rely too much on CGI, especially since this movie's like over 20 years old now, and it would look super dated if they did. So I'm glad that they went practical for pretty much everything. It's really cool.
Yeah, me too. And I just think that like we really we saw so much potential with what could have been a nice series of live action Seuss adaptations, and then The Cat in the Hat comes along,
which I owned the PlayStation 2 game for.
Hell yeah,
it was horrible.
Hell yeah, I actually own the PlayStation game for the Grinch movie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that became a big joke. Horrible. Yeah, and that became kind of a joke, a big joke between James and I. Shout out James, where we just randomly discovered that there was this Grinch PlayStation game, and we'd play it a bunch. And then he went to a convention one year and actually found it and bought me a copy. and so I was thinking about streaming it, but I really I could really tell that Audrey Geisel, who was the widow of Dr. Seuss, you could tell that her and the Seuss estate had say in this, because it really feels like a lot of it, like when you get to the second half of the movie, it's essentially a play-by-play of the original story.
Yeah, that's what's interesting. The entire first half of the movie is completely like original story.
Yeah, but even so, I think throughout it all, you can definitely tell that. I mean, obviously, aside from the Seuss estate having to give permission, you could tell like they were involved in a way, because they brought Whoville to life, and they also made Jeffrey Tambor look like the fool he is. Yeah,
which also, side note, just because I was looking at the IMDb credits, it makes a lot of sense to me looking at it and seeing that the two writers who wrote the screenplay also wrote the screenplay for Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I see a lot.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like now that I see that, it makes sense. Similar kind of like spirit in both of those movies.
If there's one reason to watch this movie, it's to see Clint Howard as a Who plays the lackey
he really
to
looks
the mayor.
Different. He looks like a Who all the time. So
honestly, that do be true. But aside from that, Jim Carrey couldn't have been more perfect casting. I mean, he fucking nails it. He simultaneously captures the spirit of the Grinch character like Karloff did in a way, but then also brought like his Jim Carrey energy to it. And I think like I couldn't see many other people doing it the way he did.
Yeah, like we've been talking about how great a lot of the other things are, but like change not a single thing except Jim Carrey's not in this, and it sucks. There's no doubt.
Yes. Yeah. You can't really do this with anyone else because it's him.
It is totally like a reliant on his performance because he is so perfect.
Yeah, and like I said, like he certainly brings his own energy to it, but there are also moments that to me is important when you get an adaptation of something you really, really love, where he is very clearly channeling a little bit of Boris, like the way he enunciates his P's, like packaging presents and the way he's carrying himself. And I think that's like really important that he saw that he was such an influence on the character, and then just kind of like melted that in with his own rendition of it.
Yeah. I'm trying to find on the trivia because I remember looking it up that the other people they considered for this movie before Jim Carrey. I know Eddie Murphy was one of them, which I mean,
dude, I wish we got that though.
Yeah, I can't find it right now, but it was other people like that. Like,
who was he in the whole ass?
No, that I would watch.
I'm going to Photoshop immediately after this episode.
Oh, here it's Eddie Murphy, Tom Hanks, Jack Nicholson, and Tim Curry were all considered to play the Grinch. But yeah,
the only one out of that list I could maybe see is Tim Curry because he comes from a background of theater. He is expressive in that way. I mean, just watch Rocky Horror or anything.
Yeah, I wonder if he was just like too old by that point because that movie came out in 2000.
Yeah, maybe
so he might have just not been interested just because he was kind of like his career was kind of winding down at that point.
Yeah. That is true.
Yeah, but even then, it's a very different movie with Tim Curry, who is funny in a lot of movies, but not the way Jim Carrey is.
Yeah, I'm really trying to picture Tim Curry in this role.
Imagine Jack Nicholson. That would have been a great one. That would have just been an insane movie.
And all the Who's down in Whoville are gonna get a taste of my boot. Shotgun. Man. One thing watching this movie, I was kind of curious about the prospect of a spin-off where it's like they just do some other Who centric scenario. Like they have, I don't even know if it would necessarily need to be based on a holiday, but like they have stories here and there. Like they have obviously Grinch Stole Christmas and they have Halloween is Grinch Night. But I would like to see in actual, you know what I really want to see? I want to see A24's The Who's.
Yes.
I want to see. No, but I would.
Robert Eggers.
I would. Oh my God. I know. Move away, Nosferatu. Here's The Who's.
the Who's.
Yeah, I would be interested to see a story like more of like the tragedy of them. But I think it works in this universe only because they're such a happy people. But oh man, there's really so many small moments I love of this movie. And the movie is a little bit dirtier than I remember it being.
Yeah, that's what's great. Like there's stuff I find funny now that I didn't when I was a kid. There's also, which I learned just from like researching it, a lot of the funniest parts are totally improvised.
I could see that.
Yeah, which again is why like Jim Carrey, just like without him, this movie just doesn't work.
Yeah. I think there is a lot here that anyone could like. I mean, I think that if you're a hardcore Grinch fan, I think it's hard to dislike it.
A hardcore Grinch fan.
Dude, look at my background. I'm a hardcore.
Yeah,
Grinch
you're right.
fan.
You're right.
I do be Grinching.
Gang.
Yeah, no, but like there is always that argument of like, oh, well, the original better. But like, I think that they took a chance on it and it worked really well. This could have easily sucked.
Yeah.
Could have easily sucked.
It actually is surprising how well they pulled it off. Because this could have been an absolute disaster very easily.
I will say one thing, that the mayor kissing Max's ass was peak cinema. I mean, poor dog, but now,
did you see the newer one, the Benedict Cumberbatch?
No, I still haven't seen that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I was curious if it's any good. I feel like it kind of like came out and was immediately forgotten.
I mean, I was a little hesitant because the past few modern retellings of Seuss stories I haven't really been into. Like the Lorax fucking sucked.
Yeah, a lot of them, like, they haven't even been like horrible. Just like they're just kind of like lifeless, like soulless.
It's
like,
missing the whole point of Seuss's craziness.
Yeah, like it's just like a pretty straightforward like adaptation, but it just is like bland.
But it is also one of those things that and unfortunately this is the case, that you can't really do many Seuss stories now because all these studios focus on being modern and funny and self-aware and sarcastic and witty, and they prioritize that over just the silly childlike nature of what makes Dr. Seuss so great. I mean, and especially in this movie too, you see like all the euphemisms and all the rhyming and all the and like they probably can carry some of that structure over, but nobody really wants to rely on what made it good, which is the charm. Like if you look at any of the specials they did in the 70s and the 80s, I mean, like the Grinch Christmas, the Cat in the Hat, or Pantoffelpock, or the Sneetches, or I mean, there's so many stories that rely on such a level of absurdity that actually wraps itself in a wholesome message that, like, I don't really see that being done in the way they could have done it. I mean, maybe I could be proven wrong, but it's kind of hard because it is one of those things. I hate to sound like fucking boomer, but like, it's not, you really can't do that anymore. It's just, I just don't see it resonating the same way it was going to back then. But I am glad that newer generations are being exposed to Dr. Seuss because, like, you know, he is one of my favorite storytellers of all time, and I think it is important to have his work still chime through the years.
Yeah, and I think this one, like the Grinch, works so well because it's not animated, and it adds this whole other level of like weirdness to it. Whereas the couple of like recent like CG animated ones, I feel like, and I might just be speaking for myself personally, but like now that every single kids movie is animated exactly the same way, like those ones just had trouble standing apart from everything else. And they just kind of became another like animated movie that only kids saw and nobody really cared about. And doing it live action like this makes it so unique and so different. And the visuals are so interesting because of that. And when you adapt these stories in a way that it's very like bland visuals because every single movie looks like this, I think it definitely detracts from it. Like, especially because Dr. Seuss, like the illustrations in his books are such a huge part of what makes them appealing to people. And like when you redesign those characters, but they're still animated, but they're like almost toned down on like the silliness, I just don't think it works as well. It makes for a much less interesting like version of those stories.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Everything is so copy and paste now. And we constantly go through decades where there will become a popular art style and everyone just Okay, that's it. Like in like the 2000s, it was the transfer of old school, like Warner Brothers and Hanna-Barbera, into like they're gonna like stylize it a little bit more, but keep the same kookiness of the old cartoons. Then in the 2010s, it's the Cal Arts art style. Now it's all fucking Illumination CG style.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm curious to see where they're gonna go.
There are some of those movies that are good. Like I'm not hating on all CG animation. It's just,
sure. Yeah.
To adapt something that's so known for its visual style and then change it to a visual style that's very like commonplace nowadays, it detracts from the original is the point I'm trying to make. I'm not saying that I hate all CG animated movies, but
well, no, what you're saying is you hate all movies.
Well, that's true. That's a given.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, especially in the case of Dr. Seuss, we need that old school wackiness.
Yeah. I kind of, it's similar. I felt the same way about the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark movie, where like those books are so known for the style of the illustrations in them. And when you try to like adapt it to a live action, like CG characters, it just didn't hit the same. And Dr. Seuss is very much in the same vein.
Seuss, wherever you are, dude. Kino sucking. Welcome to Cat in the Hat. And that is the reason we can't have any more live action Dr. Seuss.
Honestly, I really want to watch that again. I have not seen it since it came out, I think, and I would like to see it again.
I would actually be curious in a rewatch because I remember it being nightmare fuel, but I would like to sit down and actually.
I'm just curious. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, something I didn't even fucking realize. This Grinch movie the narrator was Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, just like randomly.
I didn't even realize that.
Well, a lot of the actors, even in the movie, like you're watching it and you don't even recognize who they are because of the prosthetics on their face. Like Jeffrey Tambor looks completely different in this movie.
I know. It's
and
only
you can watch it.
It's only
you can watch it not knowing
voice.
It's him.
Yeah. Like his voice is like the only thing that's like, oh, okay, that's you.
Yeah.
And even in the beginning, I was like, wait, what? Is that really him? And then like Molly Shannon is in it too. And yeah, it's an interesting cast. But Grinch still holds up over 20 years later. It's still a fucking solid movie.
Yeah. Also very interesting that Ron Howard directed this, of all people. It's like a interesting choice of director. Obviously it works out. Great.
Yeah, I think that he definitely, say what you want about the Howards. I think that they still keep a certain like a certain whimsical element to their movies, and I think that Ron Howard was a good choice for this for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I kind of want that Grinch shoot, like what?
Yeah,
what?
Maybe that's why Cat in the Hat did so badly, because they got pretty much an unknown director to do it.
Yeah, I really wish that one turned out different, but I don't know. You can't be wishing.
Can't win them all.
Can't win them all. Yeah. Speaking of alcoholism and self-loathing, I was going to talk about Bad Santa.
Nice.
Which is a movie that is, I almost don't even think of it as a Christmas movie anymore, because I feel like I've seen it so many times and at so many different times of the year that, like, obviously the Christmas theme is very centric to the plot, but it is a fucking raunchy movie. It is very much about this man who's just emaciated evil. He is a walking Grinch. And I don't know like what it is about it that first attracted me, but I've always liked Billy Bob Thornton, and seeing him in this movie, it's one of those things where he does such a good job. I think he really is that person.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny. Like I would say many people in our generation, this is the movie that they associate most with him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
He's in a lot of great stuff. It's just like, myself included, like when I think of him, this is the first movie I think of.
Yeah. And Billy Bob has had an interesting career. It's like sometimes he's typecasted and then sometimes he's playing someone completely different. Like
well, like I think of him in this, and then I think of Fargo, which he's like completely different character in.
Yeah. Or like A Simple Plan where he just plays like this coward. And what's interesting is, so for those that don't know, he's also a singer and songwriter. And I very recently, like a few weeks ago, and I've seen this before, but I was rewatching the clip. He was on a radio show one morning with him and his band, and he was not answering any of the interviewers' questions. He was like really fucking pissed because he likes to separate his movie career from his music career, and the guy introduced him as like this big star, and I encourage everyone to look this up because he just didn't give him the time of day. He was just like but like I was saying, like Billy Bob, this movie, he does I really sometimes think that that's him. I forget he's just acting, and he's just like this sex addicted alcoholic mall Santa who has a partner, Marcus, played by Tony Cox, who is hysterical in this movie. I like him sometimes better than Billy Bob in this one. And so they're thieves, and they put up this facade of just being mall Santa and elf for hire, and they go to malls every year and they just try to rob them blind. So they go to this one mall. I think it takes place in Arizona, which to me is hysterical that this Christmas movie takes place in like a 100-degree arena. And I think like that is also just kind of a metaphor for how fucking crotchety Billy Bob's character is. And they go to this one mall where John Ritter is the mall manager, and this is actually his final role on film. He died quite a long time ago now, but I think this movie came out in 2003, and I think he plays the character very well. He's like a prude. He doesn't care for Willie's character at all. He reports to his boss, who played by Bernie Mac, who also died. A lot of dead people in this one. And
Billy Bob's still kicking though.
Billy Bob do be kicking, and I love Bernie Mac's character in this one because like anytime John Ritter comes up to him with a complaint from Willie, like whether or not he's like banging someone in the big and tall dressing room or he's cursing at people during his lunch break, Bernie Mac's just sitting there like chain smoking cigarettes, eating oranges, like just not giving a shit. And I really like him in that. But then we have this little kid named Thurman Merman, who I think that's the most brilliant name for this like nerdy loser kid. But he is so psyched to meet Santa. And so he goes and sits on Willie's lap, and Willie's like, all right, kid, like spit the fuck out. What do you want for Christmas? And then you find out that Thurman gets bullied constantly by a group of teenagers, and then Willie meets this woman who has a Santa fetish, which leads to one of my favorite scenes in the movie where they're getting a drink, and he's like, I'm a shitting, eating, breathing, fucking Santa Claus. And she's like, prove it. And then it cuts to them in the car, and she's like, fuck me, Santa, fuck me, Santa, fuck me, Santa. And it's like, it's so funny the way they just transition that. But yeah, that's literally all he's doing. Like he's just like on such a fucking decline. He doesn't care about anything other than just sex and alcohol. but then like he starts getting closer to this kid Thurman, and he ends up saying, all right, I'm going to stay with you for a while. Mrs. Claus kicked me out of the North Pole, and basically just just worms his way into this kid's house. And I think his parents are like either in prison or dead. So so his only guardianship is his grandma, who I think is played by Cloris Leachman. And so the kid just, one of the funniest parts about this movie is the kid is just so genuinely obsessed with Santa Claus that he keeps trying to ask Willie questions, and Willie's just sitting there like drunk as shit, not caring. He's like, "What the fuck is wrong?" but
also, as I was reading the trivia, it said that Billy Bob was genuinely drunk for a lot of the scenes when they filmed them.
Oh yeah, and it's like you could definitely tell in certain parts because like
that's to me method acting, baby.
To me, the best drunk performances aren't necessarily the ones that embody physical comedy. It's the ones that you could tell in their face that it's like they're kind of present in the moment, but not really. And then their eyes will like widen, and then they'll just get irate with you. And that's what Billy's doing like the entire movie.
Yeah, that's so true. Drunk acting is an art form that not many people know.
Yeah, it's too many people are too off the wall with it. Yeah. It's not the only times that works is if we're talking about back in the day, like Foster Brooks or Dudley Moore. Like when they did it, it was funny, but now it's not. But so now we just have Willie just basically trying to stay awake long enough to do his job at the mall. And just like as the movie goes on, he just gets to a point where he can't even function anymore. He's pissing his pants. He's fighting the reindeer statues. And then the mall manager, played by Bernie Mac, finds out about their scheme to rob the mall. And he's like, I want half the money that you guys take. And that's a funny negotiation scene too, because Tony Cox keeps like trying to lowball him. He's like, all right, fine, 35. And he's like, half. 38, half. 40, half. And I really, to see Willie be such a miserable son of a bitch and actually have his icy heart melted by this kid throughout the movie is actually really, really sweet. Because the kid really just, he blindly sees Santa Claus as his hero. And I mean, the kid ends up revealing he knows that he's not really Santa, but he doesn't have a father figure. And like and Willie even gets to a point where in one of the scenes he sees that the kid was beaten up, and he goes into defensive mode and goes to beat the shit out of the kids, and he starts to teach him how to fight. And I thought that was a really sweet moment, because it's like even the most evil fuck like him could show that he has some heart. And that's really the whole point of the movie. And then you find out Marcus betrays Willie and whatever. And there's a lot to it that is very real. Like there's really not another Christmas movie like this. It's very, very much doubles down on the dark and grim reality of somebody who's just beyond broken, just really dealing with demons. and ends up like getting shot up at the end and whatever. And yeah, it's a fucking wild movie. I've seen this with my father probably like 50 times. It's become a classic for me. It's like I said, I don't even necessarily watch it always around Christmas. Like I just watch it any time of year.
Yeah. Well, that's like not that I watch it all year, but there's quotes from the Grinch that I say literally all year long because I think they're so funny. These are both Christmas movies that you could watch like any time of the year. It really doesn't matter. They're good no matter what. Yeah,
and I think that is a testament to how good a movie is. Because there are certainly traditions I love engaging in year round, like Home Alone and It's a Wonderful Life. But to be honest, like I don't really care to watch them outside of the season.
Yeah, it's the difference between being a great Christmas movie and being a great movie. There's definitely a difference. I would say Home Alone is a really good movie, but like I have no desire to watch it the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Whereas, Bad Santa, you can watch it any time of the year and it's equally as good. The Christmas is just happens to be a part of it. Kind of like Gremlins or like Die Hard, like those movies. You can watch those whenever.
Yeah.
They just happen to take place during Christmas time.
Yeah, there's like an entire subgenre of movies like that always spark debate with people. Like the whole Die Hard thing is just
becomes so like overplayed.
I know. It's crazy. It's like, just let them have it. Who cares?
You know, it's a good unconventional Christmas movie. Just Friends, the Ryan Reynolds movie.
Just Friends is hysterical.
Yeah, and that takes place during Christmas time.
It does.
Not really a Christmas movie.
Yeah, and that's one of those movies where like everyone who fell in love with Ryan Reynolds for Deadpool and on, I was like, where were you when Just Friends?
Yeah, well, that was a great reference in I think it was the second Deadpool where he's wearing the shirt from Just Friends.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, there's a scene in the second one where he very briefly is wearing the shirt that he wears in Just Friends.
Yeah, that is Just Friends is great. I think that Ryan Reynolds does such a good job at playing this petty person who it's like, oh yeah, I've definitely changed for the better. Just kidding. I'm still, a self-absorbed scumbag. And Anna Faris is hysterical in that one too.
Yeah. Just
all over him all the time. That one, yeah, it's so funny. It is around Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah, the whole thing is that he comes home for Christmas.
Yeah, that is true.
But people don't really think of it as a Christmas movie.
Yeah, because it's like in the backdrop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it just happens to be like the catalyst for like him coming back and like seeing all these people from earlier in his life is because he's home for Christmas.
I love the mom in that movie too, because she looks like she's just always on Thorazine. Like she's just in her own world the whole time. Chris's brother is good too in that. Yeah, that is an underrated movie.
It is
100%.
It is.
Yeah.
And another one to add to the list of prominent actors in fat suits movies.
Oh my God. When he turns around and he realizes that was fucking funny. Yeah, he pulled that off. He be rocking the fat suit.
You do.
Not as good as Eddie Murphy though.
No, I mean, come on now.
Yeah, it's apples and oranges. Yeah, Christmas sucks. So does the new Home Alone.
Christmas sucks. Movie sucks. This episode sponsored by Baby Oopsie Chapter 3, 2022.
Baby Oopsie. I think that there's a lot to be said about movies sucking. They're all pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if a movie were to ever be good, I'd actually have a reason to live again.
We do got coming this week is the new Matrix movie.
Oh, yes,
that's this week.
True. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's in like 2 days because they're doing it like I think it comes out on Christmas Eve or like the week of Christmas. Instead, I don't think it's on Friday is what I mean.
I'm really excited because I think that I love the first movie, and then Reloaded and Revolutions I kind of have mixed feelings on, but the universe has always been very interesting to me, and I think from what I hear about this one, it's gonna take me back into it.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how they like approach this version of the Matrix. Like it seems almost like there's going to be some kind of like meta angle to it, because like I remember seeing people online talking about how there's a scene where like the original movie is playing on like a TV in the trailer, and it's like I wonder if they're going to like do like some kind of like meta like breaking the fourth wall thing.
Yeah, from what I've heard, it's kind of like the movie inside a simulation inside a movie.
Yeah.
So
which sounds cool.
Sense. Would make sense. Yeah. And I figured would have been the natural progression of the series anyway. So
yeah. So we'll see how they pull that off. Interesting to have a new Morpheus in this one too.
Yeah. I'm curious
to see if there's a reason for that, or it's the dude from Candyman. So
the Matrix Man. New shirt idea. There you go. Done. I
wonder,
I'm trying to think what else comes out
before the end of the year. I don't know if there's much.
I don't think, because we're already like a week and change away.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else that I'm looking forward to. When does Kingsman come out? Does that come out soon? The new Kingsman movie? I think it does.
I don't know. Let me see. Kingsman is the 22nd.
All right, so that's probably the last one.
Kingsman.
Yeah, because then after that, the next couple of big movies are all January. Which Kingsman I do want to see, but I literally feel like I've seen the trailer 1,000 times because it was playing at the movies before COVID, and now it is back playing in the movies now. So it's like it's just been I've seen the trailer so many times for so long that I just want the goddamn movie to come out.
I know.
And I do like those movies. It's just I cannot see that trailer again.
I know exactly what you mean. Well, the Christmas spirit really lives inside of Baby Oopsie, you know.
It really does. I hope I get a Baby Oopsie for Christmas.
For all you listener out there, please stop playing Baby Oopsie. Christmas movies that suck though would be the Mr. Magoo Christmas special.
I have not seen that.
Catch me. We're going to catch hands if you try to sing Razzleberry Dressing on my front lawn.
I do often have a problem where people sing that during Christmas time. It's very popular.
It honestly fucks me up for life. Also, I just Googled worst Christmas movies, and I found this movie called Surviving Christmas, and
that sounds familiar.
The thumbnail is Ben Affleck holding a burning note, and behind him is James Gandolfini in a Santa hat holding a snow shovel, about to whack him with it.
All right, I kind of want to watch that.
This actually, I think we actually need to see this movie.
Maybe we need to stream that or something.
Yeah, because
that sounds incredible.
You ruined Christmas, you cocksucker.
The Tony Soprano Christmas special.
Yeah, I can't wait for the Sopranos Christmas cinematic universe.
Yep.
Surviving Christmas. Okay, that's going on my watch list.
I looked up worst Christmas movies, and this list has Jingle All the Way on it, and I do not agree with that.
How the fuck is Jingle All the Way on that?
It has Jingle All the Way and the Black Christmas 2006 remake, which I also don't agree with because I think that movie's awesome. So this list is terrible. It's from Rotten Tomatoes, so fuck you, Rotten Tomatoes.
I really like the original Black Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, I like all of them except the most recent one was really bad, but the original one and the 2006 one are both really good. That was another one I watched recently, was the 2006 one. Not for the first time, but just because it was on streaming.
Mm.
And that movie's crazy. I didn't remember how insane that movie is, but like, it's like, it feels like a comic book movie, but like an early 2000s comic book movie, but a horror movie, if that makes any sense. Like, it's just as like weird and like almost like around the time when like Blade was coming out, like those kind of comic book movies. That's what it feels like.
Mhm.
But it's a horror movie.
But it a movie.
Bad.
Yeah. I've only seen the original Black Christmas.
The original's great. That's like legitimately one of the best slasher movies probably of all time.
Yeah, I was really like, I didn't know what to expect of it, but it did a really good job at keeping me in suspense and not really showing like necessarily what was happening, but like giving you enough of the story. And it's like that subtlety of the violent imagery is like, that's important to me because it separates some of the other like gore and schlock.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this one was, early 70s anyway.
Yeah, it's one of the first
slashers.
Some people consider it the first.
Yeah, but I really love that it's like the killer is there, but you're not necessarily seeing the true crime of it. You're just getting glimpses into the psychological terror of the situation.
Yeah, it's scary. It's a pretty scary movie for that time. Because it's before like the killer Billy in that movie is not like Jason or Freddy, where he's like this force. Like it's like a genuine, like realistic, like serial killer kind of stalker character.
Right.
And it's genuinely scary because it feels real. Like it's not so unbelievable like slashers would become.
Yeah, there's it's really fun for the whole family, man, I'm still bent out of shape at that Jingle All the Way comment.
I know, right? That's a great movie.
What?
I think it's got a low rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and that's why it's on the list. Haters.
That I mean, you got Schwarzenegger and Sinbad and Phil Hartman. Like what do you not like about it?
Yeah.
Like, I do know that one year, I think Joe and I did talk about that, but
yeah, I feel like we've talked about it before.
We have, that's another, like, that's instant classic for me.
Yeah. Have you seen Silent Night, Deadly Night? Speaking of Christmas slashers,
I still have not.
I watched that recently too. That movie is just fucked up. Like the whole movie, it's not really your typical slasher because like a lot of the movie is dedicated to the killer's backstory, and his backstory is like so fucked up. It's like his parents get murdered by a guy in a Santa costume, and like because of that he like goes into foster care, and like he's like all fucked up, and like all these fucked up things happen to him, and that's why he becomes like a killer. But like you watch it and you think it's like, oh, all right, it's just gonna be like a stupid movie about a guy in a Santa costume like killing teenagers, but then you watch it and it's just all this like dark things happening. You're like, oh my god, this is not what I expected.
You watch it and you're like, me.
True. It is good though. I do like it.
Yeah, I've always been interested in that series.
Yeah. The second one is the infamous Garbage Day scene.
Garbage Day.
Yeah, that's part 2, which is part 2 completely unrelated to part 1. And part 3 completely unrelated to part 1 and 2.
Wow, shocking that a cheesy horror franchise would have unrelated parts.
Yeah.
I've always been interested in so Shout Factory did a release of the second movie, and it included an action figure of the guy in the Santa suit with the gun. And I always really liked that. I think that's really cool.
If I remember correctly, the second one has like literally like a 10-minute recap of the first movie in the beginning. So you can just watch the second one. You don't have to see the first one. It literally recaps the entire movie.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that might be.
Which I don't know why they did that, but it's interesting.
I feel like is that showing on Amazon? Where is that?
It's on something. Because I didn't pay for it. I watched it on something.
Oh yeah,
Honestly,
Tubi and Amazon.
I was gonna say it might have been Tubi.
Tubi, more like a doobie having movies.
Hell yeah.
And I'm done. Yeah, I think we really should talk about Jingle All the Way too, though, with Larry the Cable Guy.
Oh my god,
I forgot that was a thing.
I saw it. I saw like it pop up on something recently, and I didn't know that they ever made that.
I can't imagine the board meeting that went on for that. Like, hey, we really want to follow up Jingle All the Way. Who's someone we could get for the titular role of the child's father? You know that Larry the Cable Guy, dude.
Which is Jingle All the Way came out in 1996. Jingle All the Way 2 came out in 2014.
Well, you know, all the clamor for our sequel.
Yeah. It's just so funny.
I want a sequel to Junior.
What the hell is it?
Give me the one the one where Schwarzenegger's pregnant.
Oh. I forgot that existed.
So I just want to get quick side note. Speaking of that, so my one group of friends a long time ago wanted to put together a party called Pasta La Vista, where it would be all Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, and people would make their own pasta dish, and we would eat it. So the main TV would have the A-list movies. It would have like the heavy hitters of Schwarzenegger. Then there would be a TV in the den that was smaller and had like the B-list movies. Then there was going to be then in the bathroom there was going to be an iPad that only played Junior. And I can't even tell you how badly I wanted this party to happen, because like
it never happened.
The thought of like going into the bathroom and it's just a Junior on a tiny little iPad is the funniest thing to me.
That's when we hit our 1 million listeners, we'll host that party.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it live. We gotta host a fucking Norbit party.
Yeah, that too.
We gotta do that tastefully though. I don't know if I don't know how we can do that.
In the evening with Norbit.
We'll serve little, like, you know how they have,
which Norbit does have a Christmas scene in it.
Norbit is Christmas movie.
Oh man. Yeah, we'll have an evening with Norbit someday.
Yeah, or you know how they serve pigs in a blanket? We'll serve like turkey ass in a blanket.
Turkey asses, yeah.
We'll have like a mini turkey asses. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to do a holiday episode these days because it's like I always feel weird like not touching on the big movies, but it's like I feel like I've talked about them so many times.
Well, it's like we've talked about them. Every other podcast has talked about
them. Yeah, it's like we know they exist. We know they're good.
Yeah, I like it this way better, to focus on a couple and just like talk about those.
Yeah, like Home Sweet Home Alone. God, it was so bad. I'm not going to talk. I keep setting myself up for failure. I'm not going to talk about this. But we will have. So our friends over at Everything Action and I recorded a commentary track for it, and that will be live. I think at some point this week. And I sincerely apologize for even plugging this because, because I love them over at Everything Action, but this movie was just like, so what? Tell you what, boot up the movie, mute it, and then listen to the commentary track. And
so you don't get the experience.
So you don't get the experience, right? Exactly. But yeah, we'll share that link and then we'll have them on the show at some point. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I wanted to discuss, because there's, like I've said, there's so many out there that we've talked about, and I'm still now that it's officially the 20th, I'm gonna sit down and start going through my list of traditions anyway, which is usually like I don't know what your usual ones are. Mine is usually like obviously How the Grinch Stole Christmas, It's a Wonderful Life, Home Alone. I have Charlie Brown. It's like all the basic shit I watch.
Yeah, my dad is obsessed with the Charlie Brown Christmas, so we watch it like 150 times every year.
Yeah, that's pretty much my real traditions. And then I'm gonna do Krampus as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that extended cut this week.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. And then
I guess the next thing we do will be our like best of the year list.
Yeah, we'll do a wrap up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll probably come in March. No. I'll be curious to see where some of these movies rank on our list because honestly, there's been some surprises this year.
There's stuff I forgot came out this year, like Mortal Kombat came out this year, Godzilla versus Kong. Like I've been keeping on Letterboxd like a running list of my favorites of the year, and when I watch them, I would add it to that list so I didn't forget it at the end of the year. And this year, there's a lot of good movies came out this year.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I was surprised because things got delayed due to COVID. And now like with the new year coming about, it'll be interesting to see what they pump out because of what was already delayed as well.
Right. Yeah. I think this year had so many good movies because it was a lot of the holdover of 2020 stuff that got delayed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think movies, dare I say, are okay sometimes.
My best of the year list has nothing on it. It's going to be a very short episode.
It's going to be One Baked Bean. One Baked Bean in a Microwave was my favorite movie of the year.
Yep. That was a good one.
Yeah. And I think that wraps up any goings on. I think, that commentary track will be out this week. And we hate everyone, but love you at the same time. And I'm just going to say it because it's controversial. Merry Christmas.
Wow.
Okay. Merry fucking Christmas.
The war on Christmas.
And semi-happy holidays. All right. I don't care what you celebrate.
Wow. Fucked up.
I know. Honestly, effed up with me. I'm canceling myself. But so that was our holiday episode. And thank you for joining us. I hope you had a nice glass of noggy.
Ew.
You got to like not
eggnog's gross.
Yeah, I don't really care for eggnog. I used to, when I was young, I used to love it, but then I would drink it a lot, and now I'm like, I don't really like the idea of it anymore.
Yeah,
it's too creamy,
too milky,
too eggy, too noggy. Yeah. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for a holiday episode, and we'll see you soon for the wrap up. And this has been Sam of the Silver Screen Fiends podcast.
Oh, this is Blake of also the Silver Screen Fiends podcast.
And we wish you a merry holiday. Okay. I hope good tidings to you and to that neighbor you have that keeps doing that thing. We won't talk about it for legal reasons, but I just hope you have a good week.
We can't talk about an ongoing investigation, but
we can.
Happy holidays.
Norbit.
Turkey ass.